Hey, welcome to another new streaming about ZBrush and jewelry. You know, my name is Nacho Riesco, and I will be here during the next 2 hours sculpting jewelry designs with ZBrush. Um, Today I'm going to continue with this design. I started 2 streamings ago, and that means 2 months ago, because probably as you already know, I stream once a month. I make one streaming every month. So I started this design 2 months ago. So this kind of bracelet, torque bracelet. So today it's going to be the last streaming about this design. So I will try to finish it completely. And I have to say thank you to all of you who have been here watching the previous streamings, to all of you who are watching this live during and will be here during the next 2 hours. Before I start sculpting, I want to talk about my social media, just in case you are interested. You can read it here at the bottom of my face, of my floating head that you have here on the right bottom corner. So you have my link tree. So I will show you my link tree. Link is this one. I will copy and paste it on the chat to all of you who are interested on knowing more about myself and about my work. There you go. So also here I want to talk to you about just in case you are interested on ZBrush and jewelry, or you are a jeweler, you are receiving jewelry commissions, you have plans to start making or sculpting jewelry for selling your designs, or if just in case you have received a commission about a pendant or a ring. I will talk about my Patreon page here. You will find the link on the link I just shared with you. This is a Patreon I created a few months ago, where you have part of it. You have part of it just to click on both. It is in Spanish, so I'm from Spain. So here the site that I'm showing to you is in Spanish, but you just click on the red buttons, and you only have to pay €6 for be part of the community. Inside of the community, you will part of a community of jewelers or people who are enthusiasts about ZBrush, and I will be there making streaming, sharing with you tutorials, techniques. Also, you will get access to our Patreon, to our Discord forum, while you have you will be able to be in contact with more people interested about jewelry and about ZBrush, of course. Then you can share your work, you can ask your comments, your questions about the possible doubts that you have when you are creating your jewelry designs. You can see here I just launched it probably 2 months ago, so there isn't too many videos yet, but also here you can see here you can find short tutorials or articles about jewelry. Well, an interesting place to all of you who are interested on jewelry design, and of course about ZBrush, because here we only talk about ZBrush. I have to say that my background is only about ZBrush. I haven't got any knowledge about any other CAD software of jewelry or jewelry software, so I made my jewelry design 100% within ZBrush. And I have been trying to develop my own tools or my own techniques for covering the techniques necessary on the jewelry industry. So okay, so here pushing on this Patreon button, you will get access of my Patreon community. Also, you go to my YouTube channel, just in case you are interested on the previous streaming where I started making this design, this bracelet, that today we are going to keep making more progress with it. So here you have the collection of all of my previous streamings. So here you have all in one place all of my previous streamings about ZBrush and jewelry. Of course, the latest streamings about this bracelet, the number one, part number 1 and part number 2 on all of the previews that I have been making with the Maxon and with Pixelogic. I started making streamings probably 2 years ago or so. So here you will find a big collection of many designs made with ZBrush, just in case you are interested on put an eye here on probably learning something different. It's how to use ZBrush for jewelry designs. Okay, so let's close this. Let's put it on the side. I will try it as usual to pay attention as more as possible to the chat. So leave your comments, your questions, whatever you need. I'm here for helping you. I'm not here just for being a sculpting on my computer and being focused on what I'm doing. I like to chat with you to talk about possible problems you are having with ZBrush, or how to find solution for a specific technique or for a specific design. So it's gonna be more fun to talking to you here instead of being focused on what I'm doing, and that's it. So welcome everybody. Let me make a quick view to the chat. Hi Ranama 3D. Hi Design with Tank 3451. Yeah, nice to see you here. Thank you to being here. Hola. Hello Fabiano. You can talk in English or you can talk in Spanish, whatever you like. So no problem. We can use both languages. Let me put the globe or start the sculpting, and let's go ahead. So let me see how many people we are now on this moment. So okay, nice. A lot of people here watching the streaming, so thanks to all of you who are watching the streaming, and thanks to all of you who are watching this video. So it's not necessary to say that you are interested on something that I am making on during the streaming or during the video. You need to clarify something. You can write your comments, or even you can contact me through my social media, and I will be glad to helping you or to answer your questions. So today, this is what we got so far. So where we are at the moment when we are sculpting the terminals or the endings of the torque. You can see this is a very well-known kind of bracelets. They are used to the name being called like torque bracelets, where it is composed by a rigid wire. In this case, most of the time a twisted wire. We were covering how to make this finishing with ZBrush in the first streaming, where we were making the body of the bracelet with this kind of twisted wired effect. And today we are going to keep working on the endings. In this case, I decided to create a wolf heads, 2 wolf heads. It's going to be only one mirrored on both sides. And here we have a collection of inspiration that I was gathering for this design, where I decided to create, not trying to copy an existing one or trying to grab different ideas from different pictures. The main idea is trying to make a simple schematic wolf head, not a realistic one. For example, here you have a more realistic or anatomical realistic wolf head. Here we are gonna be between this and this, so not so realistic than this one and not simple like this one. Here you can see here more ideas like this one. For example, you can recognize if I use this view, I liked this shape here for the mouth, so I tried to replicate it here on my design, but I didn't follow 100% precisely what I have here on this image. But the idea here as well is trying to achieve this kind of oxidized or patina effect, when we are going to have the deep cavities patinated in black and high polished surfaces on the creases, on the peaks, where we are going to have a reflective surfaces here, and at the same time where we're going to see this blackened surfaces at the bottom of the cavity. So this will give us a very cool effect, because for example, you can see this is a very common finishing where you can find on all of them, maybe with different metals, but where we are gonna get polished surfaces, shiny polished surfaces, in contrast with matte or matte black or dark surfaces in the valleys or in the cavities. So this is the idea. So let's start the sculpting. Also, I was making this kind of bracelet, or this is a completely different one. We were trying to achieve this one in the first streaming, so a completely different one, but we decided to keep using this twisted wire bracelet for the body. Okay, let's see. We can make this thing a little bit smaller. We can put it here, and let me put an eye on the chat. Your artwork is very cool, thank you very much, but 128 gigabytes of RAM is overkill for ZBrush. I don't know what you mean. It's only that amount of RAM you are saying? Maybe probably it's gonna be a bit poor. I think, I don't know how much RAM I have, being honest, but probably it's more than that, because I'm not very geek about hardware. So my knowledge about hardware is very poor, but I know that my RAM is higher than yours. But depending on the kind of job that you are doing, ZBrush is able to handle. You're gonna be able to use ZBrush without a very powerful computer, but depending on the kind of things that you are doing, of course, if you are making very complex character with a lot of subtools, where you're gonna add a lot of subtool with many millions and many thousand of polygons, probably you're gonna have problems with a low amount of RAM. But for example, for jewelry design, it is a good example, because it's very rare or strange of handling a lot of polygons, at least with my way of working. So probably you can create jewelry designs with basic computer, with not very powerful computer, I mean. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's keep working. So at this moment, I'm gonna keep polishing the different forms and the different shapes we have all over the head. For example, I'm gonna fix this. For example, I'm gonna make a gap here between. Okay, let me open my Epic Pen application, because I like to draw on the canvas, on the screen, when I am trying to explain something, because my English is very limited. So sorry for that, because but then I prefer to start drawing instead of trying to find the right words and the right sentence to explain what I have in mind. So when I am about to make it, I'm gonna cut this portion of this, just for making a gap between this surface and this surface, just for getting this more cavities for the patina. And the way that I can do this, you can see this is the subtool that we have here. Oh no, this one. So it's gonna be necessary to cut the endings of these two portions. For that, I'm gonna use this slice curve brush. So I'm gonna slice it, for example, here, like this. You know, with this brush, what you are doing is slicing the mesh and creating different polygroups. But the problem about this brush is we are not able to use symmetry. You can see even the symmetry was activated. Cutting the mesh in one side, it is not replicated on the other side. In this case, yes, 100% almost the same, because we were using this view. So the brush is cutting using the depth of the canvas. So in this case it works. But for example, if we try to create a cut here with this view, you can see here I am making a slicing here, but doesn't appear here. If you want to find a solution for that, it's as easy as making a mirror and well on the right axis, in this case the y-axis we're using. So now we are going to replicate the slicing you made in one side to the other side. So now it's going to be necessary to remove the portion of the mesh that we don't need. So let me control with this, with select rectangle, and turn on my double mode. So, and there you go. So we can delete hidden and close holes. When you are closing holes, this is the kind of geometry you are creating for the caps or for the opening gaps. So probably it's going to be necessary to remesh it, because here you can see, if not, you will get a mix of triangles and quads. In this case, in my opinion, I'm not very worried about topology, but just for trying to keeping things organized and clean, maybe I prefer to remesh it. So going to ZBrush, so keep the groups looking for the same amount of polygons, so click on ZBrush. And with the ZBrush could be another way to fix the symmetry problem. If you are having the symmetry active, so ZBrush will mirror and weld your new mesh when and then you're gonna have both sides equal. So let's see how it looks like. Okay, it looks good. So I'm gonna grab this brush, move topology brush, for being able to move them individually like this, and looks nice. Okay, I like it. So we can polish it with, okay. So let's make this gap a little bit bigger. I am trying to respect or to keep the cavities, or where the patina will be placed, or the blackened surface will be placed, as more regular as possible. For example, just this is the reason why at the same time we are having this subtool. You can see here, this is the subtool we have inside of the head, where this subtool is telling to me the drawing of the polyset surfaces. So if I turn it off with the polypaint, of course, so if I turn this off, so also we can recognize where are the polyset surfaces and the dark surfaces, but if we use polypaint, it's going to be easier to read or to recognize where the patina will be placed, so we can read better the forms on the drawings we are doing. So let's transform a little bit the nose with this, with the symmetry. Maybe let's make this wider. Maybe we can use the clay build up without the alpha, or start making this nostrils a little bit deeper, like this. Okay, like this. I think it's good. Something like this. Maybe let me see if we can add the stones on the eyes. Let's see. First, you know, when you are sculpting jewelry, when you are designing jewelry with ZBrush, with any other software, in this case is not it is not only related to ZBrush. We need to keep under control the measurements, and the scale, the measurement, the distances, the thicknesses during the sculpting process. That is going to be very important when we are creating jewelry with ZBrush. And in this case, I'm going to take a measurement to know if I have enough space for setting a stone here on the eyes. Or for example, I am making this job for a client, and the client is requesting to me, is it possible to set the stones on the eyes? how much space do we have there on the eye cavities, if just to know if I have available stones for setting 2 stones on the eye. So we need to know the distance. Of course, we need to know this distance from left to right and from top to bottom. So the way I'm doing this, the first step to take, of course, is setting up the scale that we are about to work with. So going to C plugins, going to Scale Master, and setting the scene scale first. We are going to work in millimeter most of the time, but if you don't want to work in millimeters because you are making a bigger object, you can work with centimeters or inches or feet. So in this case, jewelry has sense to work with in millimeters. So this is the current measurement of this subtool that we have selected. In this case, doesn't matter because, for example, if I turn on the solo mode, ZBrush is taking the bounding box measurements. That means from this is the measurement that ZBrush is reading, the bounding box. So this is the distance that it is reading on the y-axis. It is, in this case, is 8.5 millimeter. ZBrush is reading here is this measurement. But we don't want to know this measurement. The measurement that we need is this one and this one. So that means that with this plugin, you can read global measurements. So the bounding box of the subtool that you have selected. But you need to read a specific or a precise measurement inside of a subtool, like we have now on the screen. You need to use the transpose line as a ruler. So if I zoom in here, I can keep everything visible. Maybe I'm gonna take the measurement in this case from this point to this point. I'm gonna take this measurement, and I'm going to take this measurement as well around this point, this point. So I'm going to take these 2 measurements. So the way of doing this is using the transpose line, not the gizmo. So you can turn on and turn off this button, or using the Y shortcut, the Y letter on your keyboard for calling the transpose line. And then you can start taking the measurement from this point to this point. So, and here on your top left corner, I'm gonna here. You are going to read the measurement. In this case, it is 2.23 millimeter. So here we are getting 2.23 millimeter. Maybe it's a small one. Maybe let me take another measurement, because the available space could be around less than 2.5 millimeter. Maybe we can set a 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter stone. Probably. Let's see how big is this? From top to bottom, here we have 1.6 millimeter. That means that if the client is asking then the available space, maybe we can say that we're going to be able to set a 1.5 millimeter marquise. A stone. For example, if we take this measurement from here to here, we have 3.5 millimeter. Maybe we can say we can set a marquise stone of let's see, it's a 1.5 by 3.5 millimeter stone, or put it on the eyes. If the stone supplier has this size of the stone, it's okay. If not, for example, if the stone if the supplier has bigger stones, so in this case it will be necessary to transform or to update a little bit the design for being able to set bigger stones. In this case, as we are making a non 100% real sample, so I'm not going to cast this bracelet at least at the moment. Maybe we can think that the 1.5 millimeter by 3.5 millimeter marquise stone will be available on the market with the right color, of course, as well. So what we can do is we can grab this gem brush that I made. So we can select the marquise, the stone. Oops, and then we can set here a stone. And now for setting the proper measurement, we can use another let me see. We can use another plugin called IMM Draw Size. This is an official plugin, but it is not installed by default with ZBrush. You need to find it on the internet and download it and install it on your computer. And it is going to be very useful for jewelry design, because mainly with this plugin we are going to be able to control the sizes of the stones that we are about to set on any surface. In this case, if I click 3.5 millimeter and set draw, if I click, you can see at any time I start inserting the stone, any time I press the Ctrl key, this is when I am pressing the Ctrl key, ZBrush is blocking the stones to the required measurement. This case 3.5 millimeter. Let me split my points. Maybe it could be a good idea to change the material of this. Maybe I'm going to use this with let's put a red color with red, like this. Fill object. Let's come back to the original material we were using. And then, for example, if we take the measurement from left to right, you can see here on our top left corner here, we are having a 3.5 millimeter. Okay, ZBrush is reading 3.4817 millimeter. That means because the extension of the line, it is not 100% precise between the 2 points, but we are losing 0.02 millimeters, so this is not a big deal. Epic Pen, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm late for your comment. What is the screenshot and drawing application I am using? Yes, Epic Pen, this one. It is a free application, very cool when you want to draw on the screen explaining things. Yeah, Epic Pen. Thanks, Shotgun Selby, for answering the question. I'm sorry. So let's see, and then we can put it on place. We can put it here. We can push this in something around here. Now the problem we are having now here, it's that you can see the stone, it's a bit bigger than the surface. So in this case, this stone is not going to be possible to set on this part of the eye. So it's going to be necessary to make it bigger, to extending the limits. I made this because it's very common when you are creating a design for a client. Most of the time the client is requesting to set the stones on the eyes. I don't know why, but it's very common when we are talking about jewelry, when we are sculpting animals, when we are sculpting human faces or skulls. Most of the time clients wants to set the stones on the eye. Being honest, this is one thing that I don't like it, but because not always it works well, but it's a very good practical example about what you can find. I'm gonna make this part thinner with the pinch brush. Come on, here, okay. So like this. So it's going to be impossible. So we can turn this. Where am I? Where is the stone? The stone is somewhere around. What is the stone? The stone is here. So it should be one underneath this. This is going to be the necessary space. It's just for knowing that we're going to have enough space for setting the stone. We will try to make the stone setting after. So okay, so so you can see here. So the stone, I think maybe the eyes works well. Okay, works good. So let's keep polishing other areas. So for example, the jaw here, we can grab the edge polish brush. Is this for a 3D print? Sure, of course. I'm gonna show you something. Okay, let me read a previous question first. Right now I'm learning about the extensor of the forearm, and it's very hard. Yeah, could be very hard. Being honest, I'm not big fan of anatomy. To write the measurements, okay. So is this shotgun is asking, is this for a 3D print? Of course, we are creating a product. So I can say 80% or 70% of the job that I am doing is for 3D printing, is for jewelry. So that means that the stuff or the design, whatever we are making on the screen, is going to be necessary for being printed. But we are talking about jewelry. We are going to use a specific kind of printers. If we are looking for, we are about to print very small objects, so we are going to need high precision printers, which are able to print precisely and smoothly the surfaces of the design that we are sculpting on the screen. So once we have the object or the design printed, the next step to take is sending for casting. That means we are gonna transform the resin or the material from the 3D printer into a precious metal. Doesn't matter if we are gonna use silver, we can use gold, brass, copper, or whatever. And then once we have the metal piece, it starts a big process of polishing, giving the different finishings, setting the stones, till getting the final product for selling as a jewelry design. So if you go again to my link tree, you can click on my website here section. I'm gonna make this window a little bit bigger. Just for know more about this, you can click on galleries, and then you can go to cam and casting section, and all the pictures that you are watching here on the screen, they are jewelry design who have been sculpted with ZBrush, printed and casted. So you will find here, for example, this is a good example. This is the first column, the first row. Let me close this. So here, this is the printed piece. This is about, I think it is a less than 4 millimeter. Well, if I remember well, I'm not sure. Let me grab. This is no, could be around 35 millimeter big from top to bottom. This is the 3D printed design. This was printed with a specific printer for the jewelry industry. That means that the material, it is not resin, it is wax. So the resin uses wax as printing material, and then you go from this image to this image when you are transforming the wax into a gold. In this case is rose gold. The process that is used here is you want to find more information about it. It is called lost wax casting, when you're gonna go from one physical material to exactly a same replica, but with a precious metal or with a metal. And then this is the raw casting. You can see here the porosity and the roughness of the metal. now here, but then you go here. Oh, this is the same picture. This looks like the metal. It's different because the color, but this is just for the picture, for the light. But we are talking about the same metal. This is a rose gold. It's not yellow gold. This is the reason why it is not 100% yellow. And then this is the finished piece. One polish it and make it more beautiful to wear. So here you have more examples about 3D printings from using different 3D printers. For example, this is the same thing. This is silver with this design. For example, this is a good example. This is a 3D printed piece with the same printer as before, with this blue wax. Then this is the prototype for checking the measurements. This is the raw casting with the two different pieces, and this is the final result with the stone, with the diamond, and with the pearl at the bottom. And here you will find more and more examples. So that means that all of the stuff that I am used to make here on the streamings as part of my job, they needs to be printed. That's the reason why it's very important to being testing and to being checking during the sculpting process the measurement during the whole process, because we are creating a real product. In this case, as a jewelry product, it's going to be necessary to be wear. In this case, on the wrist or on the chest. We are talking about a pendant, on the ears. We are talking about an earring. So we are not just sculpting something on the screen. We are creating a product, a physical product. So ZBrush is just a small part of the process when we are talking about jewelry design. Yeah, thank you. Glad you like it. Josmar is asking, how could I get into jewelry work? What should I start modeling, and where could I apply or showcase my work? I mostly make characters, but I'm interested in getting into jewelry. Yeah, for example, in the jewelry, when we are talking about jewelry, I think and there is maybe we can talk about a bridge between character modeling and jewelry commissions. For example, if we come back again to my website, let me click it here again. You go to galleries. In this case, you go to digital renders. You can scroll down for having more examples of my work. For example, this is a very big market when we are talking about skull rings. So here, for example, this is an example. This is another example. More examples here. More examples. This kind of designs. When we can say we are using a character of a head, and we are going to be able to transform it into a ring. So there's a big market when we can call it as a motorcycle for motorcycle clubs and so on. When we can go, for example, you go to Google and start typing the skull rings business. You can see, you go to images, you can see how many examples you can find here. So maybe this could be a good starting point, connecting the skills that you already have, sculpting characters, and transform this part of the character into a jewelry design. So a pendant or a ring, it's going to be very important. When you are just focused about how cool it is, the forms, the shapes, you can see here, this is a very good example. And then you are going to transform this into a ring. The next step is you can contact directly with the brand or with the person interested on manufacturing this ring, or we just like me, I just posting jobs like this made with ZBrush and rendered with KeyShot, because I'm not in the part of the process when we can say it is the manufacturing part of the process. This is my digital environment, it's my part of the process. When I am just using ZBrush, sculpting what the client are demanding. But you can contact jewelry workshops for start manufacturing your design, just for postings physical pictures of your job, or you can start posting digital renders of your job. If you are making interesting stuff, probably you're gonna receive probably commissions about sculpting something. But the place to start posting your job, of course, is all of the groups. For example, we are talking about Facebook, all of the groups related to jewelry design. For example, you are posting your job in Instagram, start using the proper hashtags about jewelry design, skull rings, and stuff like that, just for trying to reach the important people who it's going to be interested on your job. For example, you are posting your rings in a place where you are going to find character for video games, probably you are not going to receive any commission for any client for sculpting rings. But it's a kind of a searching to find the proper places for start posting your job related to jewelry design. For example, you can see the how wide you can, it's the world where you can connect both works, character design with jewelry design, and start making stuff like this. Hope this helps. Just matter. Hope this helps. Okay, let's keep working on this. Let me edge polish. I'm using now the edge polish just for polishing the forms. Also, you can see here I am having polygroups. Okay, you can polish it manually with a brush, or you can use polish by feature, therefore polishing the surfaces like this, for example. Or you can use the smooth groups brush. You can start smoothing. In this case, I'm gonna use this one. This is the importance of using polygroups for when you are creating. Maybe we can call this, it's closer to hard surface sculpting. Of course, I'm not a character designer. I'm not. I don't work for video. I didn't work for video game for animation. So I just, as I previously said, I'm just sculpting or making stuff for 3D printing. So I am creating physical products. So my goal, on the important thing for me is having a successful 3D printing, and if we are talking about jewelry, a successful casting. So that means that the topology, it is not 100% important for me, but for example, if we are talking about rendering, the topology could be important, but not so important that as we are making a character or something for being used on a video game. But the topology is not very important. In this case, I can use the clean topology, as I was mentioned before, just for having an organized polygroup forms. In this case, you can see how weird the topology I have here with the triangles, elongated or long polygons here. Maybe in this case it's gonna be a good idea, and maybe we can split this form into different polygroups just for explaining better what I mean. So we can grab this mask option, mask lasso, and then we can create a new polygroup here. Let's make it bigger. So Ctrl W, we have another polygroup. No, I'm gonna remove this little piece. So Ctrl W. So now we can use with this, we can get this kind of sharp edges, just sculpting with polygroups. So in this case, with edge polish, we can clean the forms if necessary. In this case, making something like this and something like this, making something like this. And at some point, as I was saying before, could be a good moment for making a new mesh using the series mesher. Let's say we are looking for the same amount. We want to keep the groups. We don't want to apply any smoothing to the new mesh, so we can create in something. For example, I don't care about this kind of weird or not so clean topology issues that we are having here. For example, here having another issue here. Maybe if we smooth it a little bit, maybe we can take half for clean it, something like this. It's for me, it's gonna be enough. So the same thing here, we can grab this section and we can paint a mask here. Control W, new polygroup, and then polish it. I recommend to you, could be this, we can call this a trick or a tip. When you are creating different polygroups using masking and you are about to push the series mesher button for getting a brand new mesh, it's a good idea to polish first the polygroup before going to the series mesher. Maybe you're gonna get cleaner results. You can smooth this, then you will get cleaner results on your new mesh. For example, here we can do the same thing. So smooth and new mesh. Okay, you can again we can't let me push this out. The distances are very important. Probably we can take this measurement. Here we have a depth of 0.3 millimeter. That means from the highest point to the deepest surface we have a jump or a distance of 0.3 millimeter. When we are talking about 3D printing and casting, maybe we can say when we are talking about jewelry design, probably 0.3 millimeter could be the minimum. So try to avoid to go under 0.3 millimeter, because if not, you're gonna lose a lot of details, and after polishing you're gonna lose even more details. So trying to stay in the safe place, that means between 0.3 and 0.5 millimeter. I made it taller now, and now here we have 0.4 millimeter, so it's far better than before. Let me subdivide again, polygroups, so like this, and maybe the ears, we can clean the ears a little bit more. Awesome, thanks. Glad you have been useful. Let me know if you have more questions. Okay, let's keep because the ears, you can see here now the ears are Dynamesh. Maybe I can tell you here another good tip about hard surface. If you grab mask pen, keeping pressed Control key, that means that we are painting a mask, but change the focal shift from 0 to -100, so you're gonna be able to paint a more precise, more defined mask. And I recommend you to use this option, the depth mask, and then change this graphic here. No, it's not this one, it's this one probably. I always make the opposite. And this is going to be very useful, for example, for I'm looking for making a new polygroup based on this surface. Right, this surface, just for getting a sharp corner here. I'm looking for a sharper corner here and here and here, and not so organic that we already have now at this moment. So as I already made before, a good option is having two different polygroups, one polygroup here and another one polygroup here, just for getting with the smooth groups button, being able to polish both surfaces as a separate groups, and then we will get a sharp limit between each plane. So a very good, cool, useful way to do that is using the masking with the depth max active. Then you're gonna recognize the corners. You can see here, it's gonna be very easy to paint the mask because the mask is gonna follow the borders. I'm sorry, the corners. I'm sorry if at some point I'm not using the proper words. Use me for my English. So you can see here, you can paint a very quick mask, placing the mask exactly in the border of the plane. So once you have the mask paint, Control W, and there you go. Here we have another mask. So you can smooth groups start polishing this. Smooth valleys, because we are looking for a concave shape here, and then we can do the same thing here. For example, let's keep painting a mask here. Painting a mask here, and something like this. Control W, the smooth groups, and the same thing here. But the thing here, I'm gonna Control Tab and place here. I'm gonna create a third polygroup. Sorry. I'm gonna paint a mask here. And let's create a new polygroup. Maybe a little bit up. Or not. No, like this is okay. Control W, and now we have the third polygroup here, and then we're gonna be able now to go into ZBrush and say on half, and let's see what it does. So half, keep groups, don't apply any smoothing, and ZBrush. How long have I been doing 3D? Poof. Maybe we are talking about almost 20 years. Sculpting, not 3D modeling, because I came from the traditional fields of art like painting, drawing, making illustration, and I found ZBrush 20 years ago, and I started using ZBrush, and I fell in love with the capability or the possibilities of ZBrush. And I have been sculpting with ZBrush for 20 years till now, and I have been working as a professional for 12 years, freelance digital sculpture. So you can see now we are getting cleaner forms with the polygroups. Did you do? Yeah, I did it. Traditional sculpting before. Yeah, but I did traditional sculpting, but being honest, not for I don't know how to say this in English. Is I don't want to say something about myself, which is not 100% true. So I was sculpting manually, but making scale models. That means I was not working as a traditional sculptor with marble or with clay at big proportion of big scales. When I was a teenager, when I was very young, many years ago, I was a lover of scale models, of making dioramas or making figures, and I was sculpting with the necessary clay for transforming the existing figure that you could buy on the market, and I was transforming them, adding more elements and stuff like that. Also, I was sculpting stuff with plasticine, and many years ago with manual tools, but I took after the path of painting, mainly with airbrush and with acrylics. Then I retake again the sculpting love with ZBrush, with a digital tool. That means, and as I said before, maybe we can say my elder son has now 18. It is now 18, so maybe we can say I started sculpting digitally with ZBrush maybe 2 years before or 3 years before. We can say 20 years ago or 21 years ago. So, and I was just translating the knowledge that I had in my brain, sculpting things with plasticine, with epoxy clays, with small scale models, directly implemented the same ideas with ZBrush. This is the best thing about ZBrush, where you can just grab a sphere or grab a neutral form and start sculpting something if you are having the necessary skills or the necessary knowledge about the sculpting. So it is not necessary to learn first 3D modeling or start producing or making something. Of course, during the years I have been polishing my skills and my knowledge about ZBrush, but if you already have the passion on the knowledge about making things manually, ZBrush is just another tool for you. You are not limited for the tool. You are just limited by your imagination. Yes, it's a matter of time for start being familiar with the tablet. I am using a Cintiq tablet today, but I started with on table manual. I don't know how to call it. This a small Wacom bamboo tablet, and it's just using another tool, but at the end you are doing almost the same, but with a different tool. You are doing things manually, but with a digital tool. Maybe that's the reason why I like the term digital sculpture instead of 3D modeler or 3D artist, because digital sculpture probably means more traditional, or maybe we can find more names or more ways to call it, like artisan, a 3D artisan, or I don't know, digital artisan, because ZBrush still has this artisan or handcrafted way of working, in my opinion. Of course, if you send the models that you are sculpting inside of ZBrush to digital environment like a video game or animation, to a movie, of course there are many technical rules and technical aspects that you need to respect. But we are talking about ZBrush as a sculpting tool, and today we have the possibility to print what we are sculpting on the screen. So it's amazing for just using ZBrush just as an artistical tool, not as a technical tool. or okay, maybe I'm gonna start thinking about the stop polishing and polishing the forms, because I want to make more progress. Maybe we have a problem here with this angle. Okay, we can add more resolution. More resolution. Control D. I am using Control D for subdividing the mesh. Okay, maybe we can say it is almost done. Maybe we can add a bit more interesting forms here inside of the ear. Maybe something like this. It's gonna be better. Okay, let's say keep an eye of the distance between the ending of the ear and this eyebrow. Maybe it is too small. Maybe something like this. Okay. Okay, like this. Maybe the bottom, it is a bit boring, but when we are wearing the bracelet, we are not going to see anything at the bottom of the head, but probably is not going to be very important to adding a lot of details at the bottom, but probably we can add some. Let me think. Well, I think, well, let's leave them as they are. So let's start working on this. Could be an endless process when you are observing what you did, and your brain is always looking for changes, updating. At some point it's gonna be necessary to stop. Okay, maybe we can talk. We're gonna start creating let's create the stone setting. So I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna remove one side. I'm gonna turn off my symmetry. I'm gonna paint the mask here, hide points and delete hidden. I'm gonna select this polygroup, make a mask, invert the mask. I'm gonna inflate it like this. I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna make a tapered form like this, maybe bigger like this. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so maybe we can use the click curve for removing, because this part of the mesh is going to be unnecessary. Let's see how the mesh looks like. Okay, we can. Okay, so maybe the double amount, keeping the groups. Okay, like this. Okay, this is what we get here. This is going to be the support of the stone setting. I'm gonna push out a bit the stone. We can check the distance of the frame. So I mean the distance between, this distance. As we mentioned before, let's try to don't make it less than 0.3 millimeter. try to avoid to don't make it less than 0.3 millimeter. Let me check it out. So with the with here, let me zoom in. From here to here, we are having, you can see here, we are reading 0.24 millimeter. Maybe it's too small. That means that we need to increase the distance between the border and the beginning of the stone. So we can use this move infinity brush, and we can select this subtool, then make it bigger. So we need the necessary enough material for setting the stone in. If the space is not enough, the stone setter is not going to be able to set the stone inside of the metal. Okay, let me read it again. Now we have 0.33, we have 0.34. Maybe let's add a bit more of security. So when we are pushing the limits of the eye, maybe it's going to be necessary to pushing the limits of the surrounding elements, like this one. And let's see who it looks like from the distance. Okay, let's see. I think it's good enough. Okay, so let me save this. This is bracelet number 3. Is this your own design, or are you working from a concept? This is my own design, and I was explaining before at the beginning of the streaming, I have this collection of inspirations when I grab different references, and I was grabbing different ideas from different designs for making my own design. This is gonna be the best, well, not the best, this is the main objective of my streamings. When we are designing, we can say we are sculpting and designing at the same time. We are not copying an existing design, so we are creating something new. Of course, most of the time, or we can say 99% of the time, all of them has been based on designs, existing designs or existing references, but at least during the first streamings, I tried to design or to create my own design based on a specific style. So you can see here, I grabbed this shape for the mouth here, because I like it. This shape, it is not 100% exactly this one, but I like it this one. I like it this kind of scrolls here on the eyes, but instead of here, I put them here, and so on, and different, because I was looking for a simplistic stylized wolf head instead of more realistic, anatomically correct sculpting. So I can say, or maybe we can say, that this is our own design based on this kind of existing Torx wolf bracelets. Okay, so once we have this, I'm going to use this. I'm going to make a copy, or making the stone setting, right? So I'm going to create a copy. This is going to be the copy, but I'm going to select only one, the same thing as before. Hide and delete hidden. I'm going to turn off the brush here for not having the poly paint visible. Let me push this in. Let hide the eyeball, and then we can rotate it, or looking for something perpendicularly to the surface like this. Okay. So we can do this. For example, if I turn on the boolean, we can have this for start making the necessary cavity for the stone setting, but I prefer to do this. I'm gonna show you my technique. So this is the polyframe of the stone. So I'm gonna use this feature, groups by normals. So you can see now I have split the mesh into 3 different polygroups based from 3 different normals. And in this case, I'm gonna select this one, for example. Doesn't matter, we can select this or this, but let's select this. And then delete hidden. And then close holes. Right? And then I'm going to select this, and then delete hidden. Now I have a shape exactly 100% from the as the stone, but the stone center is gonna need a bit bigger gap for the stone, so it's not going to be necessary to make it very big, but a little bit bigger than the stone, like this, right? So now I'm going to change the topology. I'm going to maybe the same, keep it the groups, okay, like this. And then I'm going to use the dynamic subdivision for adding thickness to this. Go in dynamic, turning on dynamic. We don't want any smoothing, so change this value from 2 to 0. And now we can start applying the thickness like this. Let me hide the, and then we turn on the boolean. This is what we are creating, but this is not at this moment 100% correct, because you can see here the shape of the stone is not vertical, it hasn't vertical walls. For example, if I put this here like this, it is tapered, so that means that we don't need to create this kind of cavity for the stone. We need to create this kind of cavity for the stone, right? This is the cavity that we need, the blue one, this one. So this is what we got now. This is with the extrusion, with the thickness. So we need to go from this to this, transforming the shape that we made with the thickness. So the way of doing that is, let's come back to this frame, and in this side, right? Let me hide this. And then you know that when you're using dynamic, you are just rendering the results. So we turn this off. We are still using a flat surface without any thickness. So dynamic. So maybe we can try apply kind of polishing first, something like this, and then we can apply. So we're gonna apply the settings and making a real mesh with real polygon, physical polygon. So apply. And as we have this configuration, when we have this so long, it's gonna be so easy as making a mask of this, invert the mask, sending the gizmo to the center, and changing the shape, right? Come on here. Okay, no, we are here. So of course needs to be, but needs to be, I'm going to, now this is what we get, more or less the right shape, but it is not 100% correct now, because now this is what we are getting, and now we need something more like this. So we need to extend this. We need this form just for cutting a kind of an angle here. So for doing that, could be very useful with the, very easy with the, for example, with the C modeler. We can stay in the middle of one polygon, QMS, polygroup all, and now we can extend it. And now we can push this in. And you can see here, just start having, maybe it's gonna be necessary to make it this taller. So okay, maybe something around there. Okay, so the stone setter is gonna need necessary metal here for setting the stone. We can read this. This is 0.23 millimeter. Okay, as we said before, it's gonna be better to get 0.3, but in this case it's gonna be enough because the stone setter can use a drill for carving a little bit more inside of the metal for setting the stone properly. For example, this is the stone. The stone will be somewhere around here. So that means now the gap is bigger than the stone, so we need to fix this. We need to make it, maybe the rule is that the cavity or the gap needs to be always smaller than the stone, because the stone setter is going to remove a bit of material from in this case metal, for setting the stone inside. So if we don't give him enough metal, so he is going to have problems for setting the stone properly. So that means if we were talking about 3.5 millimeter stone from the wider points, maybe around 3 millimeter, it's going to be enough. So let's see, we can take the measurement. Okay, I want to transform this, for example, something around here. If we take the measurement from here to here we are talking about 3.4 millimeter. It is still a bit bigger, a bit too big. So let's make it smaller. It is now 0.3 millimeter. Okay, it sounds better now. I think it's gonna be enough. So this is the stone setting for this. This is stone for the eyes. Okay, so when we are done with one side, we can send it to the other side. We can mirror and well. Okay, so mirror and well this one, and mirror and well this one. No, in the X, no, in the Y. Okay, so this is the stone setting. Okay, ready. Okay, questions and comments. I like it. You have a question. Violet. I have a question. If the part with the threads is intertwined and overlapping like the sample below, how can we achieve that? I don't know what you mean, Violet. I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean with the threads intertwined and overlapping like the sample. Which sample? Sorry for all the question help, but for example, if you make an skull ring, do you? No, I'm glad about your question. So keep asking. I'm sorry. If you make a skull ring, do you break the symmetry, or is it better to keep the symmetrical for printing, or is depending on the design that you are doing? Of course, one of the better things that we have working with in a digital environment is that we can take advantage of the symmetry. So we can work only on one side and we are replicating exactly the same thing in the other side. So we can go as far as possible with that digital symmetry just for making the job easier. But at some point when we are get into the final stage of the sculpting or on the designing process, at some point it's going to be necessary to break the symmetry, because the symmetrical 100% symmetrical object looks boring, looks artificial, maybe we can say. So you can go almost till the end. For example, at the end you're gonna add one detail that you have on one side, which is not exactly the same than in the other side. But depending on the kind of job that you are doing, for example, if we are talking about this here, we are talking about an object of, this is from here to here, this is a 2 centimeter. This is something about, this is this big. You can see this big. This is how small is this on your wrist. Of course, you can use a magnifying glass for checking if the object is symmetrical or not. But for example, in this case, I don't care about making it 100% symmetrical. But for example, you are making a skull ring, maybe you can make one eye more open than the other, or maybe you can play with the tooth of the jaw or something to don't make it symmetrical. But during the sculpting process, as far you can go with the symmetry, as more easy the sculpting job will be. So depending on the design that you are doing. Okay, this is ready. Let me save it. Bracelet number 3. Or is it better to keep it symmetrical for printing? Depending on the kind of design that you are doing. So for example, let's come back to the references here. You can see, for example, here you have a flat ring here without any detail. For example, here you have a kind of details here. I like this one more. For example, here you have dots or balls here. You have a channel here. And okay, we can try to replicate something like this. Maybe it's gonna be interesting if we send this to the center of one of the axes. Looks like it is in the center. It is not 100% in the center, but okay, let's send it here. And then we can, for example, if we go, this is could be the connection between the bracelet and the head. So we can put an arrow here and hide all of the subtools here. And let's start working on this. Maybe we can go groups by normals. We can select this. We can shrink the mesh 1, 2, 3 times. Control W, making a new polymesh. A new polygroup. Let's see, let's read how big is this, how thick is this. From left to right, from this point to this point, we have 0.7 millimeter, almost 8 millimeter. Sounds good. Maybe we can, let me turn on the symmetry on the Z axis. No, the Y axis. Let's send it to the center. Okay, and now we are in the X and Z, no, like this. So we can use the C modeler for reaching 0.8 millimeter. So slide H loop complete. So now here we are having 0.88 sounds better now. So now we can use now QMS polygroup all like this. We can select this and then we're making something like this. Okay, let's add the beveling here in the corners. Let's bevel here. Something like this looks better. Now creased polygroups. Okay, this is the shape that we have now. For example, we can see what we can do. For example, let's insert a sphere. The sphere is huge, so let's make it smaller. Let's put it here to the front. Let's put the sphere here, and let's go to array mass to start making an array distribution around the ring. So go into array mass, lock position, reset the pivot point, start rotating which axis, Y with the Z axis, 3 and 60 degrees. How many copies? Start repeating this. And something like this. Let's push this in, and then we can grab the move infinitive brush, maybe to start the sculpting something. I don't know. Maybe we can create something like an S. Something with something like this. Yeah. Smooth groups with the polishing. Let's change the topology. You can see the problem that I'm having here. It's because you can see here the seam. Now we have the seam from the sphere. So the serial measure, same. So once we have a new mass, it's gonna be more sculpting friendly. Maybe something. This. Okay, once we are happy with how many instances we have, so now we have 24. Okay, we reduced it to 22, 21, 80, 19. Maybe it's gonna be better, something like this. Not so complicated because we are talking about a very tiny piece, element of the design. Always, we need to be thinking about the size. Okay, let's go to here. Now, once we are happy with the, we can use the H polish. Just start making something like this. Okay. Now, once we're happy with the results, we can make a mesh. So you can see now all the array mesh settings disappear. And now it's time for start using the radial symmetry. With we decide, I forgot 18. So 9 is the middle. So let's make a mesh. So we need 9 points. So we need 9 points. And then I'm gonna try to make an interview with or connecting. And let's see who it looks like. Nope. Let me push this in. Let me push this in. Push this in. It's like a knot. Okay, something like this. Right? So we can use this brush for the mesh needs to be remeshed without the symmetry. Okay, like this. Now with this, whoop. Now with the symmetry, we can now subdivide and making something like this. But in this case, we need 18 points for sculpting all of them at the same time. So I'm making something like this. Okay, let's apply some polishing, and there you go. Here we have this. And then we can subdivide this. Maybe we can make this wider. Bigger. And maybe bigger and wider. Maybe we can put it in the middle. Smaller. Okay, perfect. It's like this. Now we can merge both elements together. This has 2 subdivision levels, and this has 3 subdivision. I need to add one more here, just for preserving. You know, when you're merging 2 subtools together, if they are having the same number of subdivision, and both of them are at its highest subdivision level, when you're merging them, you will preserve the subdivision level. So merge them. So you can see here, the subdivisions are there. So we need to turn on. Whoa. Maybe we have visible unnecessary subtools. This one. And then we need to send it. Without the symmetry, of course. It will be there. I need to hide some subtools. I need to hide this one, probably, and this one. Okay. This maybe needs to be a bit bigger. The ring. Okay. Let's save this. Maybe we can change the color of this subtool. Let me change the color, this surface and this surface. Which color? The same like this one. Fill object. Okay, well, it looks nice. Okay. Okay, let me see if I missed any of your comments. Okay, are you quickly is asking, are you, me and other people streaming here working on Maxon ZBrush? Man, we can say we are collaborating with Maxon ZBrush. We are part of the community, but we don't work for Maxon ZBrush. Considering workers for, so I mean, we are individuals who are collaborating with to expanding the ZBrush as a digital tool. And the other question was, look at the first sample from the bottom if you're pure ref. Okay, let me see. Oh no, this one, not you. I was searching this. Look at the first sample from the bottom. It's next to the ring sample you are working on. That's why I want to see what to ring. Like which one? Like this one? This one? Are you asking about this one? Hey, it feels so good. Welcome. Um, are you talking about this? Or this? Well, this could be, maybe we can talk about the same thing here. If we are this and this with different forms, but the idea is almost the same. Yeah, that one. Perfect. If you go to my YouTube, as I was mentioned before, as at the beginning of my streaming, let me show you. If you go to my link tree again, remember that you got it here at the bottom of my bubble. And you go to my YouTube channel, you will have here the collection of all of my previous Maxon, ZBrush, and Pixologic ZBrush streamings. If you go to the first one about this design, about this bracelet, it happened 2 months ago. Where am I? We were working on this, making this example. So let me show you. You can see here, still creating this bracelet based on this design. I was explaining you how to create only one piece and how you can replicate it around a circle, or in this case, it's not a circle, it's a torque or a bracelet form shape for adapting this form to this, and you will get everything explained in the first streaming. If I open the file about it, you can go to load brush, maybe it could be the bracelet number 1. Let me put this here. We were making different examples of different bracelets. For example, we were doing something like this. Let me see. I need to hide this. We were making different examples. One of them was this one. Let me hide this and this and this. And we were explaining how to create this bracelet as well. If I turn off this, you can see here we were talking about this, how to achieve this kind of bracelet. And we were creating different examples about different bracelets, starting from the regular shape, how to make it this kind of twisted geometry, how to apply different curves for distributing different elements along creased edges for creating stuff like this or stuff like this or stuff like this, right? So we were talking mainly about the body of the bracelet, making different examples, and one of them was the one you were asking, that you can see here. Of course, we're gonna get rid of if we turn on the boolean here, we're gonna remove, but in this case it's gonna be better to put a wire here in the center, because maybe these gaps could be problematic when you are printing this, or when you are casting, or when you are polishing this. It's gonna be better to make them solid, but it could be as easy as, for example, I already have one in here, making it smaller. Where is the gizmo? Okay, so send it to the center, make it smaller for making it solid. So let me subdivide it, and we can select this one, maybe not so narrow, something more like this. Something like this. If I turn this on, so you can make in the cut here on the top. So again, making something like this, of course, will be necessary to clean a little bit here these endings, just for not having these sharp edges. Maybe we and we can making it wider till here around, maybe not that much, maybe here. Maybe it will be necessary to transform this a little bit. I mean, maybe pushing these limits in more inside here. Because you can see here the difference between this, I just fixed, so pushing this inwards a little bit. Try avoid to create these little gaps here, it's gonna be better. At this moment, all the solution will be going one by one, fixing them. It's not going to be a big deal because there are not so many, but you can do it. For example, you can add even more appeal to this. For example, let me get rid of the subdivision levels. And maybe what we can do here is, let's create a new loop here, somewhere around here. Make a poly loop, yes, here. Let's see, for example, here as well. And then we can QMS, polygroup all. We can select this H and slide. And the same thing here. And you can see here you can create something cool, adding this cavity there. I made it without symmetry, so we can mirror well. No, with the y-axis. Yeah, I need to send the detail to the other side with a mirror and then mirror well. Okay, so this is what we get. This is 100% printable. Of course, adding two endings, and here you will get of course, here you can see here the cutting here. Here we have a problem, as I mentioned before. It will be necessary to push this closer to the border, but to solving this, it's gonna be complicated because it's gonna be necessary to spend a bit of time. Here we are having this, we are having something like this, where we are having a sharp edge here. And probably you know this process, the Bevel Pro option, this Bevel Pro. So I will try to make it because we have time, and the question is very interesting. So let me see. And sometimes I really want to do things like that. Only you can answer. Yeah, everything is doable. You can do almost everything with ZBrush. The only probably you need to think a little bit more when we are talking about this kind of designs with interviewed things like a Celtic knot and stuff like this, because they are very tricky to get, but you can do it. But probably if you review the previous streaming, you will learn something, or you will be able to grab some ideas about how to approach that kind of designs. And a twisted piece with the beads. How you do that? Yes, you get that thing on the previous streaming. How I did this. Where am I? This, right? You will have everything explained from the beginning till the end how to achieve this. Let me, is this or this? No, this. Let me. I'm talking about this. So, for example, I'm talking about this. Where is the body? The body should be here somewhere. So, here, no. No, this one. So, yeah, this one. You can with the balls. It's this one. Yeah, you can do this with ZBrush. You will find everything is plain from the beginning till the end about how to achieve this kind of twisted wires with spheres or with different elements like this one, for example. Come on, here you have different forms, or even more different. You get no. So this is the process. You start from this, you go to here, then you start making this, and then you start applying elements. You will, and I was looking for this one. You can see here this twisted pattern. So you will find everything is plain on the previous streamings about this theme, about this design, torque bracelet design. You can see here. We go to the references again with this kind of wire twisted. Or also, I didn't make this one, but the idea is exactly the same. But the idea is this kind of twisted, very well-known or common torque bracelet like this one. Back in the days when I worked for a jewelry shop, I used a lot of 4-hour techniques such as pavé, bas relief, and others. Yeah, really like it. You mean my way? Yeah, I was trying to cover as more techniques as more scenarios as possible. And I'm very glad that you found them useful and you were using them. Yes, making pavés, bas reliefs. You go to my YouTube channel, and as I mentioned before, you will find there many streamings about many different kind of designs, pendants, coins, reliefs, stone pavés on surfaces. Yeah, I design jewelry for customers on other companies. Of course, when we are using the word design, for me it's a bit how can I say it? It's not exact, because I'm not designing anything. Most of the time the clients comes to me with a design already decided by them. So they started the designing process. I need people like me, a digital sculptor, to transform the design into a physical piece. And the first step for making that is ZBrush. So when I am sculpting and I am making the object with a digital tool, then I sell the STL file for 3D printing, and they start manufacturing process. It doesn't matter if they are a brand or a small workshop or an individual person who wants to create a ring for his wife or for a friend or whatever. But I don't like to use the word design, because most of the time I create or I sculpt design from others. So in many very few cases, people are requesting to me create something that they don't know what they want. So I need to start creating the idea. So most of the time they come with the idea in mind. So I just need to transform the idea into a physical, in my case, into a digital STL file for 3D printing. Come to learn ZBrush. Okay, so if we come back to our design here, I already have the bracelet made here. I'm gonna make a quick test. about the position of the head. So let me turn off this, and I'm going to go to this gear. I'm going to make the boolean folder. Make boolean folder. So ZBrush will consider all the subtools inside of the folder with the necessary operations, negative or positive, subtraction. Here ZBrush is telling us some boolean operation cannot be performed because some input subtools are invalid. Let's see what happens if we click on escape. This is what we get. Probably you can see here what ZBrush does. I don't know what it does this when you there is any problem with the boolean operation and ZBrush is not able to complete it. Instead of sending the message and doing nothing, they duplicate the subtools and leave them here to a copy of the originals. I don't know what, but it's gonna be necessary to delete them. So delete. I'm gonna give you a trick to avoid this. Delete, 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 and delete. Let's start again. Most of the time when this happens is because when ZBrush starting with a list for making the final boolean operation on any of the subtools, it finds a mistake or a problem or an issue. Most of the times there are issues with the mesh. Probably the mesh is not watertight, or it has polygon there floating, tiny polygon floating inside. Most of the time this happens when you are using Dynamesh. What I do first, for example, if I try to find which subtools are Dynamesh, I bet this is Dynamesh, and I click on close holes. Let me find more. I'm pretty sure that all of them are polymesh. They are not Dynamesh. Let's try it again. So come back to the gear. Let's try the boolean folder again. Let's see if we have success now. No. Select reasonable. The same problem as before. You can see here again copies. So delete, 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 delete. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of making a boolean operation, what I'm going to do is merge the subtool. The folder. So go into the merge folder. So no, probably go to the merge folder. Maybe you're going to have problems because the organization of the subtools is very important for making the boolean for the eyes and the boolean for here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start merging subtools here. I'm gonna merge down. I need to delete this one. I'm gonna delete the unnecessary subtools. I'm gonna delete this one and this one. And I'm gonna put this outside of the folder. And I'm going to start merging all of the subtools. Merge down, merge down, merge down, merge down. No, merge down. And now when all of them are merged together, let's close holes. Then close holes here. Close hole this one, and close holes again this one. And close holes this one. But I'm not going to be allowed to close hole here because I have subdivision levels. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna remove this and let's try the boolean again. I have a problem here on the eyes because I merged by mistake the negative mesh. So I need this transpose classic to split this. gonna put this here, and this is negative. Okay, like this. Okay, so let's try it again, please. Work now. So boolean folder. Are the prices pretty secret, or is it possible to get an estimate of how much you will charge for a ring or bracelet, assuming a professional level like you? Well, it's difficult to say because depends of many aspects, like the client, the market, the kind of design that you are doing. Maybe we can say a range between 100 and 300 euros, depending on the complexity of the design, the specification of the client. We can talk about that. So you can see now we made the boolean with success. Maybe we can merge these things together, and then we're gonna merge this as well, and then send it to the center, just for making the final render, right? Maybe it's going to be necessary to make the bracelet a little bit thicker. What do you think? Yes, probably yes. Let's see. Let me push this in. If we write the mirror well, this is the bracelet. Let me check the references for checking the distance. Depending on the design, you can see it could be bigger or smaller, the distance between the two heads. You can see this one, for example, they are closer together than this one or this one. That means that the distance is not a very important thing. We can't make the head smaller because we were setting the eyes on the stone, so we can't touch the head. So the only solution is going to the torque here and making it bigger. Maybe probably something like this. The same thing with this piece. Like this, I think it's gonna be, makes more sense. And then this, I need to push this in. Or something like this. Like this, and let me see how it works with both heads together. Yes, maybe. ZBrush has died. Let's see. It didn't save it. Okay, let's see. If I go to Lowshoot tool, I think we have lost the work with the we're placing the head, but okay, no problem. So I will try to fix it lately. Also, we have lost the work on the ring. Oh my god. Let's see. It may probably it is here on this autosave. Will you let the same say that? No. It must be here. Yes, we can save this file. Okay, so maybe we are done for today. Let me read your comments. If someone wanted to get started doing what you do, what advice would you give for getting clients? Well, for getting client is keep posting your job as more as possible. So keep designing, keep sculpting, keep posting, and trying to find the places, the right places for posting your job. For example, we are talking about jewelry design. Try to find groups specific for jewelry design. So where you will find people interested on finding you as a digital sculptor. So don't, for example, ArtStation is not going to be the best place for posting work about jewelry. You can go to Facebook, try to find the right groups for about jewelry. You can use Instagram with the proper hashtags for, but today never knows the algorithm about Instagram if it is posting your jobs in the right place or not. But trying it and keep posting as more as possible. Try to post as more interesting job as possible, and it's a matter of trust on yourself, and let's see if you have success or not. But you need to make, I think I have to say that it is not going to be necessary to create a portfolio, a specific portfolio about jewelry. Maybe, in my opinion, it's more useful for posting your job in the right place. For example, mostly in Facebook, when you will find many groups about jewelry design. Also in LinkedIn, you will find groups specifically created for the jewelry business and for jewelry design. And there, if you are posting something interesting, maybe the brands or the jewelers will hire you for sculpting designs in the future. This is as I started. I didn't send a portfolio or a curriculum to a specific brand or to a specific person. I just started sculpting, creating jewelry design, posting them, and people started coming to me asking about prices and about commissions. This is the best advice that I can give you. It's probably is the most realistic one that I can give you, because this is the same thing that happens to me now, we can say 14 years ago. It's everything for today. Next streaming will be in September, of course, and I will start a completely new design. I have something in mind, but you will know the theme in the next streaming. Most of the time I try to book my streamings in the middle of the month, so you will get all the information. Probably you already know it. You go to the ZBrush Live website. Every month you go to the calendar, you will find all the streamings here organized under the current month. So you will, once September starts, maybe the second week of September, you will get access to my new date in September. So only to say thanks to everybody who have been here watching the streaming, and thanks to all of you who have been watching this video. Leave your comments on the comments box, just in case you have any questions or any possible suggestions for future streamings, and I really appreciate your company. And I will be here, as I said before, next month. So take care, everybody. Keep sculpting and designing things, and see you. Bye.